The storm over Naval Air Station Whidbey Island rolled in fast, painting the morning sky with heavy silver clouds. Lieutenant Commander Avery Cole stood at parade rest beside the massive AH-64 Apache parked on the tarmac, her Apache, though no one seemed willing to admit that anymore. Mechanics passed her with awkward glances, junior officers pretended not to see her, and the cold December wind bit through her uniform as if trying to remind her of the humiliation she'd endured for the last 6 months. 6 months since she'd been banned from flying, grounded without warning, without explanation, and without a chance to defend herself. She'd survived Afghanistan, Iraq, Horn of Africa ops, and 2 shoot-downs. Yet the paperwork that ended her career came from someone she had never even met. A fitness suspension pending investigation. But no investigation ever happened. No hearing, no interview, nothing. They had simply taken her wings and told her to stand by. And she did, because she had nothing else left. As she stared at the Apache, memories overwhelmed her. The smell of hydraulic fluid, the weight of the helmet, the soft click of the rotor brake releasing, those sounds were more familiar to her than her own heartbeat. She wasn't just a pilot, she was built in the cockpit. It was the only place where she felt capable, powerful, alive. So when she was reassigned to logistics, she swallowed it. When she was told to stay away from the flight line, she obeyed. And when the other officers whispered behind her back, she kept walking. But today, something felt different. There was a tension in the air, a shift she couldn't name. Her thoughts snapped when the base PA system crackled. Attention all personnel. Admiral Jonathan Hale arriving on deck. A ripple went through the flight line. Hale wasn't just any admiral. He was the admiral, the Pacific Fleet commander. The man whose decisions reshaped entire commands. His visit hadn't been scheduled, which made the sudden commotion even stranger. A black SUV rolled onto the tarmac, stopping only a few yards from where Avery stood alone beside the Apache. Officers scrambled to line up. Chiefs straightened their uniforms. Everyone looked sharp. Everyone looked nervous, except Avery, who had no idea why he was here, or why he was walking directly toward her. His eyes locked onto hers as he approached, hands clasped behind his back, expression unreadable. He stopped just inches from her boots and inspected her as if confirming a suspicion he already knew the answer to. Avery gulped. "Sir, do you need something from me?" The admiral didn't speak right away. He simply looked past her, to the Apache, then back at her again. And then he said the 5 words that froze the entire flight line, halting every whisper, every step, every breath. "Why aren't you flying this?" The admiral's question cut through the cold air like a blade. Every officer within earshot stiffened. The maintenance crew froze mid-step, their eyes darting between Avery and the highest-ranking man in the Pacific Fleet. Avery felt her throat tighten, but she kept her posture rigid. "Sir," she began carefully, "I was placed on suspension." Admiral Hale's brow lifted by a fraction. Suspension? For what? Avery hesitated. She had practiced answers for months, but none of them made sense even to her. "I was never told the reason, sir. I was just removed." The admiral's jaw tightened. It was subtle, but those closest to him recognized the shift. This man did not tolerate unanswered questions. He did not tolerate incompetence. And he certainly did not tolerate injustice. "Who signed the order?" he asked. "Captain Rourke, sir." At the mention of the name, something in Hale's expression darkened. Captain Marcus Rourke, known for cutting corners, playing politics, and stepping on anyone who stood in the way of his career. Hale had warned the Pentagon about him years ago. And now, it seemed, Rourke had finally made a mistake big enough to reach his desk. The admiral turned to the officers gathering behind him. "Get Captain Rourke on the flight line. Now." The command erupted like thunder. Sailors sprinted. Chiefs yelled into radios. The whole base felt as if it had suddenly woken up. Avery swallowed hard. "Sir, with respect, this could look bad on me." Hale turned back to her, his voice low but iron solid. "Lieutenant Commander, what looks bad is grounding the most decorated Apache pilot in the fleet without cause." Avery blinked. "You know about my record." Hale let out a slow breath. "I know more than your record. I know about the convoy you saved in Helmand when your rotors were one hit from failing. I know about the night mission over Marja where you flew blind through a sandstorm to pull 2 Rangers out alive. I know about the time you held altitude with a failing gearbox just long enough for your co-pilot to escape. And I know," he said, stepping closer, "that you were placed under Rourke's command only 5 days before your suspension." Avery's chest tightened. She had never expected anyone to pay attention, let alone someone of his rank. This wasn't a performance issue, Hale concluded. This was a political move. Someone wanted you gone. Before Avery could reply, Captain Rourke finally arrived, rushing toward them, uniform disheveled, face tight with irritation. Admiral Hale, sir, Rourke said, forcing confidence into his voice. If I'd known you were coming. You didn't, Hale said flatly. Explain the grounding of Lieutenant Commander Avery Cole. Rourke froze. He hadn't expected this. He looked at Avery, then at the Admiral, then back again, sweat gathering at his collar. Sir, I believed her performance was declining. Hale's eyes narrowed. On the contrary, I reviewed her entire record on my drive here. Her performance is exceptional. So I'll ask again, why did you ground her? Rourke stuttered. The flight line watched in absolute silence. Avery stood perfectly still, the weight of 6 months pressing hard against her chest, but for the first time, hope flickered. The Admiral wasn't here by chance. He was here because someone finally cared enough to uncover the truth.